Jake Tankersley, a 31-year-old country singer from Claremore, Oklahoma, seems to take life one step at a time. He and his wife Ashley got married right out of high school, then they had a kid. 5 years later they had 4 kids and the makings of a family band. Tankersley leads worship at Claremore's Cedar Point Church, but when he's not there, he's singing. He frequents local restaurants and bars, anywhere with an open microphone that's close enough to get home in time to tuck in the kids. One step at a time can get you a long way, and it's brought Tankersley to opening night at the blinds for season 26 of The Voice. The blind auditions for the 26th season of The Voice were in full swing, and the evening had already promised to deliver some moments that would live long in the memory. Nevertheless, once the subsequent contender, Jake Tankersley, walked the stage, it became abundantly evident that this performance was destined to become one of the auditions that garnered the most attention during the season. Jake, who is a father of 4 and has an unyielding passion for country music, had arrived on stage with a song that had a very personal significance for him. His decision to perform Something in the Orange by Zach Bryan was not only an attempt to demonstrate his vocal skill, rather, it was an attempt to convey the anguish and yearning that the song so eloquently expressed. What ensued was a performance that not only won over the coaches, but also left them frantically turning their chairs from side to side. This ultimately resulted in one of the most dramatic 4-chair turns in the history of The Voice. Jake entered the stage with an air of unassuming assurance. He was a man who had been molded by the circumstances of his life, and he had stories to tell through his music. His demeanor was unpretentious without being weak. The weight of his lived experience was reflected in his profound, gravelly voice. He was a father who had experienced both the joys and the hardships that come with being a family member. The performance, however, was not just any performance. Rather, it was an opportunity for Jake to step into the spotlight and display a side of himself that many people did not get to witness. The studio was filled with the reverberating sound of the opening chords of Zach Bryan's song, Something in the Orange. As soon as Jake started singing the first line, his voice rang out, and it was filled with a lot of feeling. His voice was raw and tinged with vulnerability as he sang, "You Know I've Been Gone for a While," he conveyed to the audience. The song, which was a ballad about heartbreak, self-reflection, and a yearning for home, appeared to be an excellent adaptation for Jake's musical style. He spoke in a straightforward manner, and his expressions were raw but definitely genuine. You could sense the significance of the words in every note that he sang. It felt as though every word conveyed a narrative or a specific moment from his life. The coaches were immediately captivated from the very first note the band played. The first person to respond was Reba McEntire, who had been attending the situation with a great deal of attention. It was impossible for her to resist nodding her head in agreement as Jake's words resonated throughout the studio. With the knowledge that she was witnessing a rare talent, she was completely enthralled. The delivery that Jake gave, on the other hand, was so emotionally charged that it appeared as though no one could say no. As Snoop Dogg, who had been calm and composed up until this moment, leaned forward, his eyes widened as he sensed the rawness of Jake's performance. Jake's performance had been nothing short of incredible. Without any hesitation, the famous figure of Snoop Dogg pressed his button and began spinning around in the manner that is characteristic of him. Jake hesitated for a little period, the expression on his face indicating that he was taken aback by the audience's response. On the other hand, there was no time to be surprised because the performance was not yet ended. Before Jake had a chance to completely digest Snoop's move, Gwen Stefani, whose attitude is always expressive and full of energy, followed suit. A huge smile appeared on her face as she leaned forward, clearly captivated by the depth of Jake's voice. Her chair spun in a single fast motion before she leaned forward. On the other hand, the surprises did not end there. As Jake progressed into the chorus, his voice became increasingly filled with passion. Reba McEntire, who is well known for her keen intuition and her love for country talent, too became emotionally invested in the song. All 3 chairs had been turned at this point, and the competition was getting more intense. Michael Bublé, the king of smooth jazz and timeless standards, also clicked his button, completing the quartet of coaches who were fighting for Jake's attention. Jake's emotional performance reached its pinnacle, and just when it looked like he couldn't surprise anybody further, Michael Bublé also hit his button. As each of the 4 coaches took their seats, the crowd went absolutely berserk. Each coach approached Jake with a unique motivation for wanting to collaborate with him. "That was absolutely stunning," Snoop Dogg exclaimed, his tone brimming with adoration for the performance. "I could feel it in my very bones. You have a genuine soul at heart. That is the kind of music that I enjoy listening to. Something that is unfiltered and straightforward. You don't pretend to be one. Since I'm all about genuineness, you've brought that to the table tonight." An embarrassed smirk appeared on Jake's face as he continued to digest the fact that all 4 chairs had rotated. "I am grateful to you, Snoop. It is really much appreciated by me." Gwen Stefani was unable to contain her joy, and the room was filled with the energy that is characteristic of her. "Jake, I can't tell you how much I love what you just did," she added with a gleam in her eye. "Please don't take my words for it. Not only does your voice possess an extraordinary grit and edge, but it also possesses a vulnerability that is very remarkable. I adore the rock edge that you possess, and I would dearly love the opportunity to assist you in bringing out even more of that edge. As someone who is all about pushing limits, I believe that you have the potential to take things to the next level." In the spirit of professionalism, Reba paused for a moment to gather her thoughts before opening her mouth to speak to Jake. "Jake, I've been working in this industry for a very long time, and I've learned to recognize when someone possesses that kind of unfiltered, genuine skill. I get what you mean. The song you are singing is more than just a song. You are telling a story. To put it simply, this is the essence of country music. It would be a pleasure to collaborate with you and assist you in expanding upon that basis. You have a place in this world, and I believe that I can assist you in finding your way around." Michael Bublé, who had been watching Jake with a mixture of admiration and bewilderment, was the final coach to speak. He had looked at Jake with curiosity. As a musician who was well known for his silky, jazz-influenced voice, Bublé was not unfamiliar with the emotional depth that can be found in music. With a solemn yet respectful expression on his face, he reached forward and leaned forward. "To tell you the truth, Jake, I was not anticipating this, but I must say that I am really impressed. I believe that you have the potential to bring something very remarkable to the stage because you have such a distinctive tone and a wide variety of emotions. You have a unique talent for creating stories through music, which is something that I am quite interested in." The room was buzzing with excitement as the instructors competed with one another to get Jake's attention. They were all trying to outdo each other. Reba McEntire, who had already heard enough to make her decision, pushed the dreaded block button, which was a twist in the struggle for Jake's heart. However, there was one twist in the wall. Jake's eyes widened in amazement when a notification that said BLCKD appeared on Reba's screen as soon as the button was pressed onto the device. She started off by saying, "Well, Jake," with a chuckle, "I had to do it. No, I'm sorry. I just knew that I had to make sure that you wouldn't miss out on the opportunities that I could get you. However, you are faced with a number of grave decisions to make." Jake was in a state of conflict. Despite the fact that he had been bestowed with the extraordinary distinction of 4 chair turns, the pressure was now on him. Because each of these 4 amazing teachers offered something that was absolutely different from the others, he had to choose one of them. It is possible that Snoop Dogg, with his genuineness and laid-back personality, might assist Jake in reaching a completely new audience with a blend of hip-hop and soulful country music because of his authenticity. Because of her contagious enthusiasm and daring sense of style, Gwen Stefani has the potential to encourage Jake to explore more rock and pop influences, while yet being faithful to his heritage. Reba McEntire, a legend in the world of country music, would unquestionably be able to assist Jake in honing his traditional country sound and his narrative abilities. There is also the possibility that Michael Bublé, who is well known for his command of vocal phrasing and passion, may instruct Jake on how to improve his tone and add even more depth to his performances. While he was getting ready to make his choice, Jake smiled and took a big breath. In order to arrive to this point, he had to travel a great distance, and now he was prepared to proceed to the next stage of his musical adventure. Jake had made his decision after what seemed like an all-time long period of time. The tone of Jake's voice was calm but filled with excitement as he announced, "I'm going to go with Snoop Dogg on this. I just have this feeling that we could do something that is truly one of a kind together." Snoop Dogg smiled, apparently pleased with the decision, and the audience exploded in cheers as he made his announcement. During the time when the other coaches were applauding him, he stepped up and said his congratulations to Jake. "Welcoming you to the Snoop family." Through his characteristic grin, he said, lighting up the entire room, "Jake, we are going to have a great time together." The coaches switched their focus to one another as the excitement subsided and the atmosphere subsided. A raised eyebrow was arched by Reba McEntire at Gwen Stefani, who merely shrugged her shoulders while smiling broadly and showing encouragement. Despite his disappointment, Michael Bublé gave a satisfied nod of approval. Jake Tankersley had distinguished himself as one of the most memorable moments of the blind auditions, and the night had come to a rousing conclusion. The journey that Jake was about to go on The Voice was only getting started. Jake was a father of 4 and had a powerful and passionate voice. With Snoop Dogg by his side, everything was possible.